Hola, New Paradigm community. Doo-doo-doo-doo. It is now December 30th. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. And I just came from a birthday party last night. So if it's not Christmas and it's not a birthday party, it's a New Year's Eve party. And it's like, woo, it's all going on. Today, I would like to talk to you quite seriously about what is going on for the year of 2019. And for that, I drew up a birth chart for 2019. I made it at midnight, January 1st, in Greenwich, England, 0 degrees, 0 minutes west longitude. Yeah. And I use Aries rising. It's just the natural horoscope for this. Some people will do it for Washington, D.C., or they'll do it for where they live or whatever. But I like to just see things, just like I do in the Paleo Report every week. Yeah. So we're going to look at the birth chart of 2019. I'm going to share my screen and just see what comes up, see what comes out of this chart for us, because it's like the birth of the year. Super duper. And what you want to be doing is looking to where these planetary positions will fall in your chart. What house is Capricorn? What house is Sagittarius? What house is Scorpio? What planets do you have? In particularly Scorpio, Sag, and Capricorn, as we will see with this chart, okay? Because this is where the focus is going to be for you in 2019, more personally and particularly aspects. Okay, so let me share the screen and let you look at the chart, and you'll see more what I'm talking about. Okay, all right, you got this, yeah. So you can see, first of all, January 1st, 000 a.m. at 00 degrees west, and like very powerfully, the sun is 1 degree away from Saturn. So we have a Sun-Saturn, it's kind of a overtone, an overlay for the year of 2019. This is about what is Saturn? Sober, Saturnian, serious. It is about reflection. It is about maturity. It is about time, patience, perseverance, endurance. Yes, it's a cardinal. Capricorn is a cardinal sign. We've got the Sun, Saturn, Pluto, Black Moon Lilith, and the South Node of the Moon all over here in Capricorn. So it is a year of taking responsibility for not only setting future goals, like my mantras for the last couple of Paleo reports have been about commitment, committing to a goal, establishing a goal, whether it's business, professional, personal, relationship, moral, ethical. These are the questions that come up with Capricorn also, particularly with Black Moon Lilith there. She's been, like I said in the last Paleo report, she has been going back and forth through Capricorn through most of 2018. And Capricorn does have to do with morals and ethics. So this whole Me Too kind of a thing of people being called out, are you in integrity? Are you using your, power correctly? Okay. Are you, politically correct, sexually correct, morally correct? Are you walking your talk, or are you, a false authority? Yes. And, representing something that is not really your truth. Because Capricorn can be the persona, the mask that we wear in order to be reputable, in order to be respected. I need to look like this, walk like this, dress like this, talk like this, carry this briefcase, or, meet, the needs of my boss, my external authorities, or the public, whichever, it's like, yes, we either have people above and below us. If it's not our parents, it's our kids. But one way or the other. Okay, there are these just external people that affect our reputation, and give us a sense of dignity and self-respect and confidence to really do something. Yes, that is, how can I say, not only effective, but also long-lasting through time, the test of time. So overall, we can say that, and you can see that this is what's called a balsamic conjunction. This is not 1 degree away, it's 359 degrees away, right? So, and the sun is approaching Pluto. Saturn is approaching Pluto. Even the south node of the moon is retrograding, approaching Pluto. So we have kind of a Plutonian theme also going through this year of 2019, particularly because we can see what? The moon is in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. Venus is also in Scorpio. What I really like about this chart is the grand trine. You can see it. Venus at 23 Scorpio in trine to Chiron and Mars at 28 and 29 Pisces in trine to the north node of the moon at 26 degrees of Cancer. This is a grand water trine between the masculine and the feminine and the future, right? The intentional time period. It's very interesting. So this can be a year, and of course you can see it's also sextile Black Moon Lilith, 23 to 23, and Lilith is in a loose sextile to Chiron and Mars. So this reflecting, this coming into a moral, ethical position, and is to gain a sense of security, financial security, a good reputation, a solid home life, a solid profession. Saturn, and this is all about solidity. Let's get something safe, solid, and secure. And the thing is that with all these balsamic conjunctions, the balsamic is the end. And the moon in Scorpio is end, die, let go, release, in order to give birth to a new life. Mars is 4 minutes away from Aries. This 29th degree, you may know, is a critical degree of every sign. Mars is at the 359th degree and 56 minutes, right? I mean, 3 hours later, right? I can put this thing in hours. 1, 2, 3 hours later, and Mars moves into Aries, beginning a whole new cycle. So we can also say that this is a year, 2019, of ending, finishing, closing, completing, and in a way, culminating everything having to do with this masculine nature. And, of course, it is conjunct Chiron. So this kind of sets the tone here for healing the wounds of the masculine. And what are the wounds of the masculine? One thing that Chiron points out to us is that when there's a wound, it's just not easy. So the masculine, whether it's sexual, financial, intellectual, communication, the masculine seeks to act, penetrate, initiate, and start out of an impulse, out of a spontaneous, desire that emerges from the soul. And when that's not natural, okay, the wound says, oops, some way, shape, and form, each and every single one of us will be dealing with where we have been blocked, where our will has not been able to achieve results, where we have felt impotent, where we have just been, whether we are man, woman, asexual, bisexual, whatever, this Martian energy is that I am going to do. Remember, the feminine is be, the masculine is do. And this is like, you know what? I'm not achieving results. I'm not getting what I want. Why? Where? How? This causes part of this reflection into the nature, okay, of why maybe why is the universe not giving me what I want? Well, maybe it has to do with you not being on the deepest soul purpose. Are your actions in alignment with your deepest soul intention? This is what Chiron and Pisces is asking for. It's our spiritual evolution and the effect that this is, that we are having in the world and on other people. So this is a time of healing. But that healing is, I would say, by going into the origins. It's like everything that's happened, okay? And we can look at this also in terms of family. The Capricorn Cancer axis is the family axis. And we can say with astrology that we chose our parents. We chose with the help of spiritual enlightened beings or whatever. It's not our ego that chose our family, but our soul with guidance said, I want that DNA, I want that, emotional background, I want that financial background, I want that, religious background, I want all this this is the groundwork for this life's work. Comes in the first 3 years. It even starts in the womb. We can say the first 9 months. You get some imprints right off the bat. And so we can say that this year is a very potent year for reflecting upon the origins of our current desires, aims, goals, and the conditions, relationships, and situations that we are in. You know that the 8th house has to do with, and the moon and Venus are both in the 8th house with Scorpio. It has to do with deep psychological work. It has to do with deep inner emotional work, with deep delving into the taboo, into the mysteries, into what is hidden, into what is secret, into what people are maybe afraid to talk about. It is this origin, it's the Kundalini, the life force. The root chakra is the most unconscious chakra of them all. Yeah. And so, these, the forces of life and death will be impacting us collectively and individually, personally. I'm not saying that everybody's going to die, but I'm saying that, there can definitely be, the veil between life and death is going to maybe be pulled open for many of us. Okay. And, this is also the place of shamanism, of, going into and journeying into the underworld, journeying into the celestial world, but stepping out of this just ordinary third dimensional ego, time, space, third dimensional stuff to see that, there's an impact from the other dimensions. We could say the other bodies, the astral body, the mental body, the spirit body, Kundalini yoga, we have 10 bodies, right? So, all these 10 bodies impact the physical manifest world that we are all working with and dealing with. So what am I saying? This is a great year for therapy. This is a great year for those that you are intimate with, those that you can be vulnerable, that you can open yourself to. There can be tremendous alchemical transformation through union, through allowing ourselves, and through humbling ourselves in and with and through partnership. It's interesting that it's both the moon and Venus. These are the feminine, the big, strong feminine planets in all of the chart, right? In all of astrology. So this is, and Scorpio also has to do with the power, like I said, of life and death. This is sexual power. This is emotional power. And sexual and emotional power put together is passion. Passion. So it's really something to have this passion occurring here, happening, and us really feeling the desire, okay, to connect. And the desire to connect is going to involve letting go of past events, past emotions, past conditioning, past childhood stuff, in order to move forward into creating a greater, deeper, what? North node of the moon in Cancer. Family, home, safety. So this can be a tremendous year for purchasing real estate or for having a family or for building a family or for just coming home to yourself, coming home to your, who you are as a human being that desires safety, nurturing, holding, spooning, caring, and it's on all of these different bodies. And I was just talking with Lotta, my wife, about this, because she's a psychoanalyst. And we're talking about when we go back into childhood, what we did not receive on an emotional level, in terms of nurturing, in terms of feeling comforted and held, to fill that fearful void or that scary child that's innocent and vulnerable and wants to be protected and wants emotionally to be emotionally held. If that did not happen, and most often, in most cases, it did not happen enough, there will be a void that we can seek to fill through substances and a physical level. Though even though it's an emotional need, that emotional need, okay, we can seek to fill it with food. We can seek to fill it with sex. We can seek to fill it with smoking or with drinking or with, all kinds of, it's just like, I want to be touched and held and fill that emptiness. And it's an emotional, spiritual need. Particularly we can see with Neptune, which is, in square to Jupiter. That's a whole nother thing I'm going to be talking about. I guess I can talk about it today. Depends on how long I'm going to talk. But, like I say, we can, I feel that this year is going to be saying goodbye to a lot of old systems of support, whether it is your family, your job, your country, your money, what you have relied on and held on to, okay, to give you a sense of security, authority, stability, influence. It's time for these things to pass away, to be replaced, okay, with new forms of expression, new forms of creativity, new forms of identity, Let's look at what happens. I want to go forward a couple of months here because you know what happens. Watch. 1, 2, oh, here goes Chiron into Aries. By March 1st, Chiron has moved into Aries. Let's go another month. Oop, Uranus moves into Taurus. Okay, so we have Chiron and Uranus both changing signs. Let's not forget that, you've got to do this Uranus and Taurus course. It's free as part of the New Paradigm community. The whole dream team and myself did a whole intensive on Uranus and Taurus. If you haven't done it, check it out. It's free for you as a community member. And this Uranus and Taurus talks about, really reaching outside the box, outside the norm, outside the past to develop new capacities, new talents, new sources of income, new ways of appreciating myself, new ways of fulfilling myself, new ways of loving myself. Uranus is new and it's experimental. So this is it's very necessary for us to break out of old established patterns, whether they are relationship patterns, health patterns, okay, just like all these patterns that we have. And that has so much to do with what? Stories. I always say part of a coping mechanism, a survival mechanism, is for us to justify our actions, our beliefs, our realities with stories. And we can sometimes make up stories of what happened or how I got here or why I did this or, we create, we remember we have a selective memory in some ways. Yeah. And so this is a time, I would say this year, watch, this Jupiter goes up. It did a square with Neptune, but guess what? It goes retrograde. By May 1st, Jupiter's retrograde. You see that? Little R by Jupiter comes retrograde back to, boom. By July, Jupiter is in a second square to Neptune. And then we keep going. Watch that Jupiter. Jupiter goes direct and comes back. By October 1st, it finishes its third square to Neptune. And this is where I talked about deciphering the truth. The year of 2019 is deciphering what is true and making it you. Deciphering what is true has to do with this Jupiter square Neptune. The stories that you are telling yourself, the stories that other people are telling you, the religious leaders, the political leaders, the gurus, the astrologers, whoever you rely on or place in positions of authority, you need to really decipher if they've really got it, if they are really in touch with the natural laws and the truth, or whether it is avoiding, denying, escaping, really just kind of not wanting to be here, not wanting to deal with the security issues, not wanting to deal with the emotional issues, not wanting to deal with my family history, not wanting to do therapy. You know how many people, it's like, the husband or the wife says, we need counseling. And the husband or the wife goes, oh God, no, no, counseling, or a lot of people don't want to go to an astrologer. It's like, go to an astrologer. I don't want to know the future. It's like, or I don't want to know myself, or I don't want to know that. I just don't want to know. The Jupiter Neptune can be a situation where it's like, I might have to change, or it might be too, scary or too personal, or I don't want to be vulnerable. I just want to live in dreamland. I want to watch movies. I'm addicted to Netflix. I just want to go on YouTube. It's just like, no. There can be, a real tendency to not do the work. It's too depressing. Jeffrey Green, who started evolutionary astrology, associated, Saturn, all right, with reflection, which society often calls depression. And it's not all, it can be depressing, but it's really just time. It's a year of deep inner contemplation about who I am, where I've been, how that has created my current situation. This is taking responsibility for where I am, and then establishing goals, commitments, and boundaries. That's the other thing that Saturn has to do with, is boundaries. And if we want to move to our North Node in Cancer, we need healthy boundaries. We need safe, solid place to do our contemplation, to do our meditation. We need safe relationships. This is a time of really discriminating and discerning who we're spending time with, who we are opening up to, who we are listening to, who we are sharing our space with. Because we are, this Neptune, Chiron, Mars in Pisces is like we're psychic sponges for the environment that we're in. So it's going to be, like I say, it's a very good time for, setting up a good, safe space with family. And that family may not be your blood family. It can be like-minded souls. This is my tribe. This is my new family. These are people who, forgive me, tolerate me, understand me, support me. I encourage you to really throw away and let go of acquaintances, okay? Or, people that are possibly just hanging around you or wanting to use you or wanting to, just, get something or whatever. It's just like, shh. So as we decipher what is true, the other part of it is making it you. This is where Saturn and Pluto come in, and let's go forward a little bit. Look at what happens. Saturn comes up, 17. Here we are. By April, we have South Node of the Moon conjunct Pluto. Saturn coming up to conjunct Pluto, and it only tightens. Here we go. By May, South Node of the Moon is on Saturn. Saturn is still approaching Pluto, right? So they come up. Here's June. They go retrograde. So, June is going to be a peak point just before Saturn goes retrograde, July, in June. We're going to have this Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Then it's going to ease up a little bit. But, I'm not going to get into the eclipses. I can't get into freaking everything in one video. But I just want to give you a little taste of 2019. You can see Chiron, Uranus move deeper and deeper now into Aries and Taurus. And this Chiron is going to be in Aries for 7 or 8 years. We're going to be dealing with this, healing the wound of impotency, healing the wound of not being heard, not being seen, not getting our way. What is blocking us? What is stopping us? What is challenging us to really establish that cocoon or that safety net or that, that home. It's all about home this year and into next year with that North Node of the Moon in Cancer. This is where we really want to be going. And of course, the Pluto polarity point is also in Cancer. And we know that the North Node of Pluto is in Cancer, and the North Node of Saturn is in Cancer. So the North Node, which has to do with, where we are evolving, the points of evolution are all about emotional safety, containment, tapping into our inner child, and becoming responsible adults for nurturing and supporting our own inner child. So I want to encourage you to balance your personal, business, professional life with your home life and your family life and your relationship life. And the thing is that the more these are out of balance, the more crisis you will have. If you work too much, you will have family crisis. If you don't work enough, you will have professional crisis. If you are balanced between work and home, you don't have any crisis. That's what you want to go for. This can be a year of no crisis. All you have to do is balance. It's easy peasy. Piece of cake, man. Nothing to it. So what you want to do now, just to wrap this up, is look and see what's going on for you. Where is Saturn? What house? Okay, is 10 to 20 degrees of Capricorn. Probably more like 15 to 25. 15 to 25 Capricorn. This is where you need to step up and take responsibility and be the authority and draw the line and say, this is okay and that's not okay. And this is where I am, committed, and this is where I'm going. And this is where you like to really need to, yeah, that's strong. Then, of course, the opposite of that is where the north node of the moon is. The other point that I would say that you really want to look at is what's going on for you between the degrees, particularly, watch Neptune. Neptune goes from 14, I think like up to 16 or 17. Yeah, 18. 14 to 18 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, Sag, or Gemini. If you've got planets, okay, 14 to 18 degrees of the mutable signs, these are points where you could get into some confusion, some deception, either self-deception or being deceived by others, where you need to really watch. You need to bring conscious awareness and awakeness and discrimination. Yeah. Because the tendency is, like I said, I'm out of here. But here's the funny thing about Neptune, and particularly with Jupiter, and particularly when it comes into aspect with Mars or the Sun or Saturn or whatever, Neptune does have to do with stepping back, going on sabbatical, not making big, heavy decisions that are long lasting, but to really listen to the still small voice within, to go into the place of meditation and not try to beat your head against the wall or to accomplish great deeds or Neptune is a very powerful river that wants to bring us back to the ocean of oneness. So if if it's aspecting you very strongly with planets in the middle of the mutable signs, this can be a sign for you that 2019 is not a year of reaching for fame and fortune and outer forms or sources of recognition or whatever. It is a time, to maybe go to India or South America or your art studio or, maybe make your own movie or write your own book or, learn an instrument or, dance or something. But it is a time to just I don't want to say renounce the world, but I will say kind of pull back a little bit from this third dimensional world and really tap into, yeah, the higher dimensional realms. Yeah. So these are, and of course, the things, like I say, from 15 to 25 degrees of the cardinal signs, you're going to be getting hit with this Saturn Pluto South Node. And the main thing that I say with Saturn and Pluto, it brings us down to the essential. You may feel like you are being stripped, like you are being peeled like a banana. And this is getting taken away, and this is going away, and this is not happening. I am feeling blocked. I should get promoted, or my business should take off, or my should. And if you feel blocked, Saturn and Pluto can just be a very thick brick wall. Know that your soul intention and spirit intention is leading you into that brick wall, because it's not the way to go. And you do not have to beat your head against that brick wall. Sometimes life will just say, guess what? You're taking the wrong turn. The Mars Chiron is saying, get back on the spiritual track. And it may not be about external forms of success so much as about internal space of contentment. Contentment. This grand trine in water is having more to do with coming to a place of satisfaction and contentment with what is, with what I have, with who I am, and being at peace with that. So I encourage you through this year of 2019, besides learning all the astrology you can as a member of the New Paradigm Astrology community, you can use your chart and use astrology as a mirror to your own soul. So this is an excellent year for the study of astrology, of yourself, and of your intention for this life. So, what more can I say than that? Let me stop sharing my screen so that I can say goodbye. Thank you for joining the community, for being interested in astrology. This is astrology for me, is changing the world one consciousness at a time. It's bringing consciousness of the inner world so that people can feel this sense of connection to something bigger, wider, greater, and what can I say? Love. Yeah, opening the heart through consciousness, because we come to a place of acceptance, of tolerance, of compassion, of forgiveness, through understanding that everyone is really managing and trying to survive and doing the best that they can with a limited amount of self-knowledge and understanding. So the more astrology you get, the more self-understanding you get, and hopefully the more compassion and love you bring to yourself and the world. So have a good time. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.